Hi, in this video we're going to look at classes in Python. So we're going to create a cell phone class. Wireless Solutions Incorporated is a business that sells cell phones and wireless service. You're a programmer in the company's IT department, and your team is designing a program to manage all the cell phones that are in inventory. You have been asked to design a class that represents a cell phone. The data that should be kept as attributes in the class are as follows. The name of the phone's manufacturer will be assigned to the manufacturer attribute. I'm going to leave off the underlines on the front of it. That's used as a security measure so that most programmers don't start their variables with underline. So if they tried to access the manufacturer directly, it wouldn't work. But we're doing this for this demonstration here, so I'm going to leave those off to save some time when typing on all those. So the phone's model number will be assigned to the model attribute, and the phone's retail price will be assigned to the retail price attribute. Other thing that I do is I use what's called camel case on my variables. So retail price, instead of having the underline, would be retail, and then price with a capital P with no space in between. So those are the three attributes that we're going to need for this. And the methods that we're going to be using, the first one is underline, INIT, underline. This method accepts arguments for the manufacturer, model number, and retail price. This is called INIT, initializer, constructor, depending on what language what person is using that or not. It's usually used to initialize the attributes, but it can be used for other things also. Set manufacturer method accepts an argument for the manufacturer. This method will allow us to change the value of the manufacturer attribute after the object has been created if necessary. Set model method accepts an argument for the model. This method will allow us to change the value of the model attribute after the object has been created if necessary. Set retail price method accepts an argument for the retail price, will allow us to change the value of the retail price attribute after the object has been created if necessary. Then we have the sets, those are all called setters or mutators because you're changing the values of the attributes. Then we have the get manufacturer method that returns the phone's manufacturer, get model returns the phone's model number, and get retail price returns the phone's retail price. Those are called getters or accessors. So let's go ahead and start writing the code for this. Okay, I've already got a new file opened up here. I went ahead and saved it as cell phone so I don't have to mess with all that stuff as we go through this here. So we're going to start off with the class header. And upper lowercase matter, so normally what you do is you set up the class names as starting with capital letters for each word that's in it. So that's what we did here. Then we need to do our INIT. The self here is a parameter that's used to accept the object that's being passed in. Okay? And so everything that we use in here, every method that we have in here will start with a self parameter. And when we use the attributes or call any of the other ones, we start with self on there because it specifies which object we're working with. So our self.manufact equal to manufact. Self.model will be equal to model, and self.retail price will be equal to retail. I'm sorry, equal to price. Okay, then we'll do our mutators. Set manufacturer, passing in self and the manufacturer. So self dot manufact is equal to our manufacturer. Our set model, self and model. So self dot model will be equal to model. And then our last one, set retail price, passing in price, and so then self dot retail price is equal to price. Okay, then we just got to do our accessors. Get manufacturer, only parameter is self, and then we return self dot manufacturer. Get model, only passing in self, return self dot model, and then get retail price, passing in self, and return self dot retail price. Okay, so at this point, those were the only things we're going to have in this one. We could add a lot more if we needed to in here, but for now, that's what we're going to do here. So the next part of this is to create a program to test this, and we don't want that in here. So we're going to save this as a separate file. And like I said, I've already got this saved out here. I'm going to do it this way here so you can see it. So we got it saved as cell phone. And put the .py on there. Click on save, and it says it's already there, so I'm going to just save over the top of that. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to open up a new file, and we're going to create a program to test this out. So on this one, we're going to have the user enter the values for the manufacturer, model, and retail price. We'll create an object of the cell phone class, and then we'll print out that information. So the first thing we need to do is import our class that we created. So I'm going to do this a little bit different than you may have seen before. I'm going to do from cell phone, which is the name of the file, import cell phone with the capital letters on it, which is the name of the class. That way we don't have to put cell phone on the front of each time we use it. Cell phone dot cell phone. We can just do the cell phone with the uppercase letters and leave this off of it. Okay. So MAN is going to be equal to input enter the manufacturer. MOD is going to be equal to input enter the model number, and retail equal to float input enter the retail price. Okay. Then what we're going to want to do is create the object passing those values in. So phone is going to be equal to cell phone, passing in our manufacturer, model, and retail. So when we do this, then those are passed into the init, which are then initialize our attributes in there. So now what we want to do is print this information out. Print out a message here. And I'm going to go up here and do a print to print out a blank line, so that it has a little separator between the data that we entered and then the output that we do here. Okay, so F, and then manufacturer, curly brace. You're going to do phone dot get MANUFACT, parentheses and parentheses, end curly brace, end quote, end parentheses. And then we want the model number, curly brace, oops, wrong way, there we go, phone dot get model, parentheses and parentheses, and curly brace, quote, and parentheses. So these are methods, so we have to have the parentheses on there even though we don't have anything to pass into them. And then we have our retail price, F, curly brace, phone.get, retail price. Okay, then on here what we want to do, well, we got parentheses and parentheses. We want a colon, comma dot 2F to format it, end curly brace, end quote, end parentheses. Okay. Now, one thing I don't like about this is that they did not put this in a main on my, where I got this example from. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and indent all this stuff in here. This is two reasons. One is it should be set up this way so that you always have a main that you're running on your in your programs. Other languages such as Java, you have to have a main method. So this just gets you in the practice of doing that. Also, if you later on decide to add other methods in here for other processing, it helps keep this separated out from that stuff. Okay, and it makes it real confusing if you have code and then you have a method and then you have more code, then you have another method or functions. If you have everything that's supposed to be in a main function like this, it makes it a lot easier to read. Okay, let's get this saved. Save this as cell phone test. Oops. .py. And then let's run it and see if I got any errors in here. Yep, there's the first one. Must have missed hitting the equal sign on there. I do that every once in a while. Run this again. Enter manufacturer, and they got Acme Electronics. Model number is M1000, and the price is $199.99. And there's your data printed out. So everything worked great on that. Okay. So I hope this helps out on the beginning with you working with classes. And I will have more videos on this coming up, so watch for those. Bye.